Hello everyone, it's Editing Kira here. It's currently the 12th, so right before this video comes out in a couple days. I have a very exciting announcement I want to share with you guys. I am going to be guesting for the very first time ever, my first ever guest appearance. I am like, wow, this is actually happening. I am appearing at Cosplay World's Christmas event in Richmond, Virginia at the Virginia Rep Center for Arts and Education. I'm super excited. I'm going to be guesting there. Well, I said that. I'm also going to be hosting a how to 3D print anything panel type thing. I'll have like stuff there set up and I'll be teaching you guys the basics of 3D printing and everything you need to know to get started. I cannot express how excited I am for this. If you guys got no plans on December 7th, make sure you bring your friends. Go to Richmond, Virginia if you're nearby, or if you want to do a little weekend trip, whatever. It's a one-day event in Richmond. There's going to be some fantastic cosplayers, some other great cosplay guests, and it's just so many amazing people. And I'm so thankful to them for the opportunity. I can't wait to see y'all there. Hopefully I'll see y'all there, and make sure to say hi and stop by. But yeah, anyway, that's it. On to the video. Alright, so you want to 3D print a suit, and you got it all 3D printed. Why do I say want? You probably already have at this point. But you wonder, how the heck do I make this thing super smooth so it goes from looking like this, well, yeah, that, to something like this. So join me in today's episode where we screw around and find out to figure out how to get a piece that looks crappy and wiry like this to a piece nice, smooth, and painted like this. Woohoo. Hello everyone, my name is Kira Creates. Pretty sure, I don't know, I've gone through like 5 different name changes at this point. I don't know how many times I'm gonna make the joke. Where today I'm gonna be showing you my sanding and painting process, what I use to get a perfectly smooth paint job every time on my 3D prints. Now, a lot of you guys have been requesting, especially my friends, everything that I've started working on 3D prints. It's like, oh, how do you get these paint jobs so smooth? Kira, why has my life left me? Well, I can't answer that question, but I can answer the other question. I'm getting a little tired of answering it, so I'm making this video so that way you guys can shut up. But I'm going to be showing you all that on my Mark 40 Iron Man suit that I'm currently building for New York Comic Con. At the point of time that this video comes out, it'll probably be after New York Comic Con, because get suit done first, get content out later, because at least suit will be done. I'd like to give a special thanks to this series sponsors, Polymaker, for providing all the beautiful filament that's going to be showcased in this video, as well as Do3D, which provided the beautiful files for this whole suit build. So you'll be seeing that as well with the actual suit itself, because I have everything actually sanded and basically ready to prime at this point. The only thing I need to do the first round of sanding on is the chest and the helmet. So that's what I'm going to be showing you guys today as an example. So this here is my chest plate. It's pretty nice. It came out pretty dang clean, but it's still pretty layery and stuff like that. So let's just see if my mic can pick this up. Yeah, that's not smooth. So I'm going to be using 2 different methods for sanding it down. This guy, I'm going to be using what is known as a palm sander, which is what this guy is right here, this big old thing that isn't plugged in, because I don't need to cause any injuries to myself like I already do. With special thanks to Frankly Bill and a few other people I can't think of off the top of my head for their own videos on this stuff, or else I'd probably be completely lost. I'm just kind of doing my own thing with it, so this entire video series and my knowledge on this stuff wouldn't be possible without the OGs. But this thing makes sanding a breeze. You can sand almost any part with this guy, and it just makes this process go super quickly, and it's pretty great. And I'm going to be using the helmet, which is actually modeled by Levy 3D, for my hand sanding process that I'm going to show you as well. So to start off with the palm sanding, you want to make sure you're in a well ventilated area and not near neighbors that want to kill you every time any type of noise is made. And you probably don't want to do it inside, so that way you don't kick up dust, and also your house is going to be loud as heck. With all that being said, what type of grit do I use before we go outside and actually do this? And I change clothes because I don't want to dirty up my pretty girls. Well, for starters, for my palm sander at least, I use 60 grit sandpaper to really knock down those valleys and super high layer lines. So that way it just makes the process go just that much smoother and faster. Anything lower might destroy the print if you put it on for a little too long. But yeah, I started with that, and you can move to 100 grit sand disc. I'm probably not going to, because I just prefer doing the 100 grit by hand, which again we'll get to later in the video. But yeah, I think that's about as much information I want to relay to you right now until I go outside, because this is how I start my smoothing process. But yeah, enough yapping. Let's go outside and get this process fully started. Hello, Future Kira here. Spoiler alert, this is what after a paint job looks like and with everything done. It's pretty cool, right? So one thing I forgot to mention is what type of filament I was using. So some filaments are easier to sand than other, like PETG usually tends to be easier to sand. If you've ever seen my PLA versus PETG video, go check that out after this video is done. It's pretty educational. What I use is Polymaker's Cos PLA, which they are one of this project's sponsors, and I am very, very happy that they were able to work with me. I'm just very honored that they were able to send me everything you see here. Like, it would not be possible without them. So what I use is Polymaker's Cos PLA. Now this stuff is advertised to be much easier to sand, and it is very, very nice to work with. It printed out super smooth. I didn't need to sand a whole lot. I didn't really have any layer shifting problems, like any like super like wacky banding, except for like some of the like bigger pieces, like as the printer like got to the top of them. But some of these parts I was able to get away without having the sand at 60 grit, because this stuff really is easier to sand than normal PLA. So I highly recommend this product. I have an affiliate link down in the description below, so that way you can pick some up and support Polymaker making all these fantastic filaments, supporting the channel where I'm able to do stupid projects like this because of them. So yeah, I just wanted to get that out of the way quick. Back to the video. Alright, I think it's good enough for the palm sander, so now I'm gonna eat, and then we'll get to the next step with hand sanding and show you guys how to do that. Oh, I lost my respirator. I don't know how I did that, but I did. Alright, anyway, moving on. We're gonna be doing some hand sanding now, so I have my parts pretty much all done here, except for a couple odds and ends. But here's the faceplate to the helmet. I just disassembled it. I took off the hot glue using some rubbing alcohol. Remember to do that, by the way, but I'll have more info in my helmet motorization video. Everything's disassembled for the helmet, and so it's time to start sanding this guy by hand. Now, how I'm gonna be doing this, similar to how I did the palm sander, I'm starting off with the 60 grit sandpaper, and you may be asking yourself, well, why did you drop your faceplate? I don't know, I'm stupid. Where do you get this stuff, Kira? Does it come out of your ass? Well, I wish it did, because that would be cheaper. But no, I get this stuff at my local Ace Hardware. You can get like sandpaper or like a lot of tools at like any local hardware store. Whether you're in the US, you could go to Lowe's, Ace, True Value, Home Depot, like no shortage, Harbor Freight probably. But if you're in the UK, yeah, anything should suffice as long as it says 60 grit on here. That's why I recommend to start off your sanding process. And then I have a mangled piece of 100 grit to do right after the 60 grit. So I'm actually going to do all my pieces by hand with the 100 grit, because I just need to do a really quick pass with this. I don't really need to do anything like super deep like I have to do with this, just to get on the surface and make it a bit smoother, to prep it for my filler primer, which I'll talk more about that in a minute. Without further ado, I'm gonna actually pick up my faceplate. Hope I didn't smash into a million pieces, because it's very like not dense to help with weight, because it is one chunky faceplate and the motors are already struggling. But yeah, I'm gonna pick that up, and then we're gonna do a quick montage of me hand sanding it. And again, make sure when you're doing this, wear a respirator. I can't find it, so I guess I have to suffer. And make sure you have like some sort of bucket or trash can with you to help collect all the dust, because when you're sanding, there's gonna be dust. You wanna have something collect it, so if you're sanding, sand it like when it's inside of the bucket, so that way you don't get dust all over the place. I'm gonna do my best here, no guarantees, but I'm fine with just cleaning up my floor, so that's fine. The floor's already screwed up anyway. So yeah, without further ado, let's start hand sanding things and get a little jiggy with it. Alright, so good news. I found my respirator. Yay! Anyway, so now the next step after I already did everything with my 160 grit sandpapers is I'm going to be using this spot putty. Now this is Bondo spot putty. You can get this again at any hardware store like Ace and stuff like that. That's where I got this, or auto parts store should have it definitely. Like Advance, AutoZone, O'Reilly's, whatever you have local to you, I don't really care. But I'm not actually going to apply this to the faceplate or the beak, as I call it, of the faceplate for this. Because if you're using this for like an Iron Man build, because again, this is not really specific for Iron Man, this is just for 3D prints in general. But if you're building an Iron Man helmet, and it's motorized, make sure that you're taking in consideration how much your faceplate weighs, because that may not allow your servos to be strong enough to open your faceplate. So try and keep the weight of your faceplate down, especially when it's like massive like the one that I'm doing with the beak added on, because it's already heavy enough. I'm very scared to see how much it's going to weigh when it's done, but the servo's already kind of struggling, so fingers crossed it all works. But yeah, I'm actually going to do this next step on the helmet itself, because well, there's some spots on the helmet that's a little bit rougher than other places, such as a cowl here where it has like the top layering happening here. And I keep saying cowl for this, I don't know why. This is the Widow's Peak, that's the name of it. Yeah, let's go with that. There's some deeper layer lines like elsewhere around here, but I'm mostly concerned about this. That's why I already have half of it done here. So there's multiple ways you could do this, not just with spot putty. I've seen people use resin like you'd use for resin printers. They just flash a UV light on it and then like it creates like a top layer and then you can sand it down. I'm not doing that. It just is a little more complicated, and resin bottles, like for a decent resin bottle, it's like I think starting at like 15 or 20 bucks. One of these tubes is like 10, and you could probably use a whole tube for one Iron Man suit if you're smart about how you sand, because I go heavy on my sanding just to try and use as little of this as possible. That's all you really need. You could also stretch this by diluting it in a little bit of water and like spraying it on. I just don't think it's too necessary, really. I mean, it's cool, but you don't need to. But yeah, all you have to do is just open up your tube here. And this stuff stinks, so where'd my respirator go? So yeah, I recommend using your respirator for this because it can stink up for a little bit. And now we're ready to spread it around like some butter. Man, I can't believe it's not butter. So make sure when you do this, you're using a glove as well, so that way you don't get all over your hands. It just makes for less of a mess. And so just put a dollop on your finger like so, and then just spread it around the area that you're doing, just like so. That's all you really gotta do. Now, if it's like a thicker area, like a lot like thicker stuff like this top layering here that you want to cover up, you want to go a bit heavier with this stuff. So I'm going to add some more on here. I'm not going to press down as hard as I was on that first layer because I want this to goop up and like layer on top pretty well. But remember, if you do a little too much of this stuff, it might actually start cracking once it dries, and then like it won't look good and it won't do its job properly. So when you're layering this stuff on, just be a little careful, a little mindful not to put too much on, because one, you'd be wasting this, and two, well, it's just gonna crack and then not hold up very well. But when it does dry, this holds on very, very well. Like to the point like when you paint it, and if you drop it, it may not chip off and it'll stay pristine. And I'd say that's pretty much good enough for now, and then you just let this dry for like 20 to 30 minutes depending on your temperature, and yeah, just sit it, let it dry, and then you just sand it down with 100 grit sandpaper, and then you're good. Now, you could do 100, it's what I used to do, but when this dries, I usually wet sand it with 220, which is what I do for my primer stages. I'm gonna go ahead, do that to a couple more parts, and then we're going to be moving on to probably wet sanding that, and then finally our priming. Okay, now that we've applied our goo stuff, we're basically ready to start priming things. Now, I already started priming a whole bunch of stuff. YouTube, please don't kill me. I probably already cussed in this video. I don't know what I'm doing. But one thing I want to get out of the way that's a little off topic here, just to give you, well, just to make sanding and this whole process a little bit easier on you, because it takes a bit. It takes a bit of time, especially when you're putting your time in and you're getting it perfectly smooth. I would suggest putting on some like YouTube or like just listen to music, like Spotify, Apple, however you listen to music, and just put on the TV, play some stuff on your phone, speaker, whatever, just that way. Just makes the experience a whole lot better, and maybe you can binge watch a show. Like I binge watched The Boys when I was like making something, I forget what it was, but yeah. Faceplate's done. So now I'm gonna be showing you how I prime things. So let's go outside so that way I don't choke myself to death. All right, so we got our faceplate out here in the beautiful outside of where we should be, because you want to do this in a very well ventilated area, unlike where I normally do this. But yeah, we got this beautiful Rust-Oleum 2-in-1 filler and sample primer, if I can talk. And this stuff is fantastic because it's pretty cheap. Like this is like $7 at my Ace. And I've seen it anywhere like $9 on average from like an auto parts store. Auto parts stores for some reason are just upsell this stuff for some reason. But yeah, $7 at Ace, I can't really beat it. And you can probably get a better price on Amazon than the parts stores if you don't have an Ace that sells this stuff for cheap. But yeah, $7 a can. It like fills very, very well, and it covers very nice as well. So like, honestly, I don't see a reason to use anything other than this. Like, I'd go with this over Bondo. I go with this over the Duplicolor. The Duplicolor covers really well, but it's like double the price of one of these. So like, it's good primer, but this is just so much of a better value, and it works great. That's why I use for all of my props. I'm just gonna spray a decent amount on the faceplate, but not too much, because again, I'm trying to keep into account how heavy this thing's gonna be. Let's just spray a decent amount here, just covering the whole thing. Now you can see it is a bit rough, but this is just the first pass of it. We're gonna do this at least 1 or 2 more times. Nice, even coating there. And you can see it does help reveal some spots where you might want to Bondo. Like this part right here, there's a little bit of a gap. You can barely see it, but yeah, you can see it like right there. There's like a gap in the layer lines. That should be covered by the Bondo, so I just need to cover that. And let's just spray the rest over here. Just make sure you cover all your nooks and crannies. I just don't like spraying outside, and I don't have a table yet because like there's a whole bunch of bugs out here. But if you spray outside, make sure you're in a place where there's not many bugs, unlike me. Even though this is just priming stage, so bugs can get in this stuff. Doesn't matter, it's gonna be sanded down anyway. But yeah, have a table or just avoid bugs. Should probably put it like over there or something. But anyway, yep, so now I just gotta let this dry. It's safe for like an hour or two, and then it should be dry enough to sand. Depends on the climate, honestly, because it could dry faster if it's warmer, dry slower than when it's cooler. Right now it's cooler, so this might actually take like more like 3 or 4 hours before it's ready to be wet sanded. But yeah, that's basically the whole process. If you want to dump more filler primer on one of these parts, you can totally do that. It's just, again, I'm trying to go light on the faceplate. But on other parts, I usually just dump a crap ton of filler primer, but you may lose details when you do that. So when you're doing that, make sure that you're either A, okay with losing some details and maybe like carving it out a little bit with a knife or something, like sometimes I do, or B, it's a part that doesn't really have like any or many details and you're not really gonna lose anything by doing so. And you can see like this middle part here is a little more layery than like up here. I don't really care about that because that part is gonna be covered by a visor anyway, so only really do work where you really need to do work. You could like get away with like not doing as much work for stuff that's gonna be covered or not really seen, like this part that's gonna be covered by a visor. So like you can skip you can skip some work where you don't need to put in the work. So work smarter, not harder. But yeah, I'll show you the wet sanding process for this, and yay. All right, now that we got all of our sanding done with our 220 and then whatever that 500 grit plus sandpaper was, I don't know, it doesn't really matter too much. I'd say this is pretty much ready for paint. It's perfectly smooth and everything like that, and I don't feel like any layer lines, any bumps, nothing. This is beautiful. Now you can see like the primer isn't covering everything now. You can see some of the red here from the Putty, that's the name. And that's fine, honestly. Like, you don't need everything primered. This paint should adhere to everything properly, as long as there's no water under here, which I let this guy to dry and it's bone dry. It only takes like, I'd say depending on the climate, like 30 minutes to an hour to let this guy air dry. It's kind of in this room, so at like 60 degrees, took like an hour, so it's like meh. Now I'd say this guy is ready for paint, but before we get to the painting process. No, we're getting to the process right now. Screw you. Also, I'm sick. Here in my garage, I have this faceplate, but you know what I like better than faceplates? Knowledge. And that's exactly what I'm going to give you right now. So to start off our painting process, we are going to be starting off with this Rust-Oleum metallic silver. Now this stuff's really cheap. It's like $7 a can. It's like one of the cheaper paints in this whole build, and it's pretty awesome. It looks really nice, it covers really well, and it's just an awesome paint. So a lot of times with metallics, you want to apply a black base coat. But what I've noticed from the Mark 42, which I might do a test soon of, I don't know, we'll find out. When you clear coat the silver, it doesn't really matter if you have a gloss black base coat or not. It's kind of going to turn out the same with the clear coat because it kind of affects metallics. So some metallics you definitely want to use a gloss black base coat. This year, I'm getting away without doing that. So I'm going to put the faceplate right here on this sawhorse. You can have this on anything, popsicle sticks, whatever, as long as all the surfaces that you're painting are clearly visible and you can easily get them. And also make sure you're doing this in a dust-free, bug-free environment. Just make sure your paint job is perfectly smooth and no contaminants get in it. Okay, with all that being said, I'm going to start painting the faceplate now. So now that we're going to do this, we're just going to do a nice sweeping motion just to get full coverage on the faceplate and nice even coats. Now because I have all this Rust-Oleum covers, I might be able to get away with just like a coat or two of paint and that's it. So we'll see how this turns out after the first coat. So you're just going to watch me get it applied right here. So let's do it, I guess. Alright, so now that we have the first coat applied, you can see like there is some small dust particulates that got on this because I did kind of wait too long to paint this. It was just kind of sitting here. So that's my fault. I just gotta let this sit for a couple hours to let this dry, since it's just one coat, should be pretty quick. But yeah, you can kind of see like all the dust particulates there, it's fine. And it also kind of reveals a couple extra layer lines I missed. So I can go ahead and fix that too. And it's not a big deal. If you see all this, just go back, fix it. It's not a big deal. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and let that dry and then fix all that stuff. And then, yeah, I'll show you the end result of that, I guess. So in order to get gouges into your sole, you're just going to need one thing. It's super simple. Just get some 100 grit sandpaper and it should put enough scratches in there where it'll show up for your paint, as long as you're just doing like one or two light coats over it. Shouldn't fill in the scratches or anything. So yeah, let's go ahead and do that on this piece here. So on this particular part of the forearm, this armor panel here that's more towards the elbow, that's the only part of this forearm that's going to be silver. So you can see I already kind of sprayed on there. Honestly, I recommend doing one coat of silver, do a scratch on it, and then do another coat. But it's also fine if you do it on the primer and surface underneath the silver, but it may fill in a little bit once you get your second coat done. All you gotta do is take your sandpaper and just brush it lightly against the paint and surface there. Just like that. Very simple, very easy to do. And there you go, you basically have your scratches. Now make sure that the grain of your scratches are going the way you want them. So let's say you have like a piece of armor, like the faceplate for example, which I did off camera. I don't know why I did that. But say you have the horns of the faceplate going this way, and then you have your scratches going straight like that. So you want to angle your scratches as they get closer to the part that like juts to a certain direction to move to a certain direction, like it's going with the shape of the item. So with this, it's very simple. Just do straight up and down scratches. If it's a more like shaped piece or something like that, have your scratches kind of move along the shape of the piece. That way it looks more uniform, professional. It just looks better that way. So yeah, I'm just gonna do a couple more scratches here. So just da 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 da, and that's pretty much scratched up and ready to go and ready for the final coat of paint. That's all you gotta do. Just make sure you wipe that off. I don't care about my hands being dirty, but if you do, use a microfiber cloth so that way it also picks up any other particulates and doesn't leave any particulates behind. So microfibers are fantastic. You can pick them up again at your any auto parts store. I say that a lot during the series, don't I? But yeah, with all that being said, this is basically ready for its final coat of paint. So let's move over to how I'm going to be painting it with the Duplicolor color match, which is the blue sections of the suit. It's a little bit different than the silver.
Alright, so honestly, I think that's the last coat of paint I need on this. I think I only did like 4 coats only. That's pretty heavy, but for this perfect match, that's about normal. Like 3 to 5 is normal for this stuff. But yeah, while that's drying, I do want to let you know a couple things. So you saw how I like started at the edges of it. You want to do that just to avoid like overspray problems. Now I'm basically speaking like Pimple Props' sanding and painting video. I don't know why I'm even trying, but here I am. But you want to start along the edges of your print and your part that you're painting, because that will like overspray on top of the main surface. And if you do the main surface first, then the edge, you might pull the paint a little bit more than like you'd want to. And it might cause like some uneven surfaces. It might cause something as severe as like paint run or something like that, and it just will look terrible. So in order to avoid that, do the edges first, see how much paint gets on your surface, and then spray on the surface accordingly, so that way you don't do too much paint on the surface and, well, cause like a paint run or like something weird to happen. But yeah, now that this is basically dry, because this is drying really quick, like I only waited like a minute or two between coats. This stuff dries really quick, and it's like, I want to say it's like 60 degrees out here and super humid because we got a hurricane coming in. Well, I'm not in Florida where the hurricane's actually hitting, but we're getting like the outer edges right now. So it's been dreary and wet. So I'm surprised with how well this paint has been like drying and with dry times. It's been really good. Like I only had to wait like 5 minutes. I'm pointing down there. I don't know why. Oh yeah, because I have a silver part down there. Yeah, I've been only waiting between 5 minutes per coat of silver paint. It's been perfectly fine in this weather. So, again, depends on your weather and your use case. But anyway, let's get a closer look at this paint job.
Alrighty, so there's the paint job itself. The paint looks really nice. It's actually a little bit darker in person, like just slightly. Like this is fairly close to what it looks like. But yeah, you can see like it's super smooth and everything. You might see like a couple stray like layer lines. Let's see if I can find any. You can't really see it on camera, but there's one like right there. And on camera, it also looks like very unfinished. So this is starting to like do like a weird hazing effect, which I've noticed this does in humid temperatures with this perfect match. So I didn't have this problem before with the Mark 42 with the gold. I don't know why, but that's okay. The clear coat will finish it. If your paint starts to fog like this, mostly if it's a perfect match paint, you spray 2K clear coat on this guy, it'll come right back. Like the color will correct itself. So that's not a problem. I learned that also from Plentiful Props. So props to him for making his video and giving me the information to help me learn about this and like some of the painting techniques as well that I'm showing you guys. So big props to him and Frankly Built as well for their tutorials, stuff like that, because I wouldn't be where I am without them. So they made me. But yeah, let's let that dry. I basically showed you my actual painting process. Now I think it's about ready to do the clear coating, which very excited to show you guys how I do that on this suit, because this is going to be very interesting. Also, here's some legs with silver drying on it. Look, it's neat. I got a dark spot there, but don't worry about it. So to show you a really bad example of hazing before we move to clear coat actually, here's the abs. So these parts are all supposed to be blue. You can see like you have like these really dark sections and then it like lightens and like hazes, stuff like that. And like it looks super uneven. you'll see later on once I clear coat this guy that will all go away. I just want to give you guys a better example of what I was talking about. All right, so now we are ready to clear coat a lot of our parts. Now, for the silver here, I'm going to be using this Spray Max 2K Clear Glamour clear coat, that's the name. And this is possibly one of the best clear coats you can get in a can. So all of the silver parts here are going to be done in the Clear Glamour, which is basically the gloss. That's basically all it is. And all the blue parts are going to be in this 2K Clear Satin. Now this is also called semi-gloss, semi-matte if you're insane. But yeah, that one's empty. I already used that last night on a bunch of blue parts. But yeah, so I'm going to be using this on the silver and then that on the blue, because if you've seen any of the Iron Man movies, you'll know that the reds look a little bit different than the golds. Like the reds are a little more of a satin. Like it's not quite super glossy, but it's also not quite matte. It's like in that in between. That's a satin. That's what the reds usually are. So that's what I'm going to do with the blues, and it's going to look sick. So I'll show you how I'm going to do that in a second, but first I'm going to show you how to use this. Now I'm going to pop this guy off, hopefully with one hand. There we go. So this is the activator button. This goes on the bottom of the can, which releases the activator in this, which will actually like activate the clear coat, because it's like used with like I think polyurethane, stuff like that. I've actually know some sort of resin, I'm not sure, but that'll release that, and then this will have like 24 to 48 hours of use time until it's useless when it all hardens inside the can. So make sure that you're going to be using the whole can when you actually crack this open, because you're going to waste $22. Yeah, this stuff is expensive. Yeah, let's go ahead, take the can off of there. Tilt that down so that way I can get the button on here. It's a lot easier with two hands, by the way. And get it set on the little trigger there. And use the ground as a bit of leverage here. So you'll hear that pop. Oh, there it is. Yeah, this stuff's hard to do. Yeah, then you just want to shake this for a minute or two. Now, you don't need to shake it that long, but for simplicity's sake, I am going to just tell you, just do what it says on the can. Ignore what I said earlier about like, oh, you don't have to wait the full length to do it. It's just like, well, I'm supposed to be professional here. I'm supposed to listen to that. So let's just say I'm going to shake this for about 2 minutes. So, yeah, let's skip to that. All right, now that we got our 2K all shaken up and ready to go, we're going to go ahead and start with a dust coat. Now, you want to start off with dust coat because this stuff can get really runny really fast. This is with any clear coat, whether it's just a Duplicolor 1K, another clear coat from, say, Krylon or something like that. Do a dust coat so that way it gets a little bit of the clear coat on there, so that way you can go for a heavier wet coat after without as much run and stuff like that. Go ahead and do a dust coat here. And I'll just show you how that's done on this elbow here. So just do a quick boop, 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 boop. And then a boop, 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 boop. Yeah, just do a quick run of it. Don't mind the paint cans on tripping over by accident. But yeah, make sure you get your edges too that you have painted. Get this edge down here. And yeah, that's pretty much it for a dust coat. You just go over it very quickly, and you can see that it is already losing a little bit of its metallic luster, but still looks pretty decent. So 2K is probably the best clear coat you can use for metallic paint because it doesn't lose as much metallic luster as it does, except like maybe some water-based clear coats. It doesn't matter what clear coat you use other than that, it's gonna probably lose some of its luster, so just know that going into it. But for the Duplicolor, it looks about the same, just a different finish. But yeah, this looks fine, as you can see, and it'll look pretty nice when it's all said and done. So I'm going to go ahead and start dust coating the other one. So let's cue montage here. Woohoo.
Alrighty, now that we got our dust coat, now we're ready to do our heavier wet coat. Now basically for this one, just gotta go kind of ham with it, but don't go too ham, because then you'll start to paint runs. So probably about like 2 to 3, maybe a 4 max strokes per area. Because again, you saw that like this stuff sprays all over the place, so it's kind of a really dusty type of clear coat, if you know what I mean. So I'll just show you one of the parts quick, getting a wet coat up close, and then do another very quick montage of me putting a wet coat on the rest of the parts here. Alright, I'll use this elbow as the example for the heavy coat, so just go ham on it like I said and just go hard on it like that. Some very quick motions and just make sure you get all around the part here. Again, get your edges, all that stuff. Make sure you get everything covered here. Now that looks really discolored now, it looks more like a gray, but once that dries up, it should look a lot better because you've probably seen the silver on the Mark 40s too, and it looks fine. So go ahead and just do that to the rest of the stuff here. Alright, as you can see, everything is clear coated and now is curing. So cure time on this is about 24 to 48 hours, again depending on climate, but I'm going to go ahead and let this sit closer to 48 just to be safe. I don't want to ruin any of the clear coat or anything, especially when I get to the next step here is when you're using different clear coats and when you're painting different parts and stuff like that, well especially painting different colors on the same part, you want to tape it off at where you're painting it. So I'll show you how to do that while this is all curing right about now. All right, and now we're ready to tape up some stuff to do the silver painting and stuff like that. But this, again, just in general to show you how to like tape things off so that way you can do different colors. And what better thing to do than the chesticles and beauty over here, woohoo. You can see like everything's not totally blue on this. There's like some spots where it's like skipped on. That's because all the parts are skipped on. That's all going to be silver, so I didn't really care. So you could totally paint over the whole thing if you want and just do the silver on top of it like I'm going to be having to do on like most of this. Now honestly, it's probably a better idea to paint like the secondary color on it first, then tape that off. I painted the primary color first. Not sure why, but I did, but that's okay. It'll be fine. I'll just have to use more tape, whatever. For this, you'll definitely need some good reference. And here I have my Mark 40 shotgun hot toy that is off display. That's why it looks like he's having a heart attack right now. Oh God, please don't kill me. But I honestly just really want a hot toy because these things are so cool. Like this is my first and only like posable hot toy. I have the Mark 42 like action pose series or whatever it's called for that. This thing is perfect paint reference for like colors as well as just like what parts are what color and that kind of stuff. So that's actually what we're going to be doing. So you can see like all the blues here. You can see what I mean by like this being like a really neat but like odd shade of blue. And I couldn't like really perfectly match that with what was available to me, but I think I got a really nice looking blue anyway. Like it looks pretty. But yeah, this is the chest here, so we're gonna be focusing on this area. But you can see the collarbone here, that's silver. This side piece here is silver. Like this part going down here, and then this little chunk right there, and as well as this part going down here on the chest here is silver, and it's also silver on the inside there. Now the whole reason why I did the blue first on this, I just remembered actually, is because it's going to be a lot easier to just not tape off that entire side section, because if I painted the silver first, this is going to be a pain in my rear end, the tape along the sides here. So yeah, I think I basically gave you the background and everything. So let's go ahead and I'm gonna be showing you, well, how to tape this. So here's the tape. This is some frog tape. That's the brand. And specifically, I got this yellow. Don't mind the paint splotches. I got this near the paint because I'm dumb. But yeah, I got this at my local Ace, like most of everything except for this. This was at AutoZone, that color. I got this as well at my local Ace. This stuff's pretty expensive. I think it's like 10 or 15 bucks a roll. I'm not sure. I don't remember. I'll put it on the screen. So I specifically got this yellow here and not the green that you see everywhere because, well, this yellow stuff is perfect for sensitive paint. So it prevents like peeling up paint. Peeling up clear coat, which I've already dealt with. It's not fun. Now it may still happen with this, but it's less likely. So when that happens, you'll have to like repaint your entire part. It's a nightmare when it happens, but this is the best tape to use to help prevent that as much as possible. So that's what we're going to be doing. My room is a mess, just like my life. All right, now that we have everything situated on my beautiful blanket, you can already see that I have a piece of tape on there. Well, that's because I recorded one take, but my shoulder got in the way completely.
So now I gotta do it again. All we gotta do is take our tape here, find where it begins here, and pull it up with our fingernail, just ever so gently. Get a decent chunk here, rip it off like that. And now I'm gonna put this piece perfectly parallel with this one, just across this panel line here. And just because this entire part here is going to be silver and inside of this is going to be silver. So we're just going to tape this off because this part needs to be blue. So let's start around our perimeter and just place our piece here. I think that's pretty good about. Now you got to have some patience with this, as like the longer you take with this, the better your lines are going to be coming out and just the better overall look your paint job's going to have. So I'm going to try and align it with this crevice here. I want to keep the crevice exposed because I want the silver to get into the crevice. Run my finger along there because it's good, but I got to like kind of bend the tape in a little bit. So keep your finger like at the point you want to start to bend. And then like pull the tape where you need to put it and then place it down like that. And then rub your finger across there and make sure it's all perfectly smooth to prevent any paint bleeding into your part that's, well, the blue color, because if you leave any of that like not rubbed down, your new paint will actually go inside of the tape and then bleed into your part, and it's just going to look very ugly. Case in point, you can look at the glove here. You can see like the black parts here. It's kind of like not focusing, but you can kind of see it. That's paint bleed. That did not go very well in this glove, but I didn't really have time to go back and redo the whole thing, so just dealing with that. Nobody's really gonna care. But yeah, that's pretty much how you tape that, and that's for how most of this process is going to go. But there are going to be some occasions where you do need to actually cut your tape to a certain size, so I'll show you that real quick. So what you'll need is your handy dandy knife. So you're going to have some pieces that may overlap into that other part because it's like a very tiny or it's like very specific shape. So what you're going to want to do is try and make sure you know where you want to cut, which luckily in this case it's going to be along this deep panel line here. So I can go ahead and kind of rub my fingernail in there and the panel line there. So that way I can get that indent of where I know I want to cut. So now I'm going to take my knife and keeping your hands far away from the blade, you're going to just quickly run it through the groove there. And just make sure you're very slow and very careful so that way you don't cut into the part and ruin your existing paint job. And then once that's cut off, you can take the piece off right there. Now you can do that on small scale, big scale, whatever, but it's very simple to do. And just make sure you got an eye for it. Take your time with it if you're unsure. Make sure you're doing that. So we're gonna go through a quick time lapse of me doing this whole part. And then we'll move the painting that silver, do the clear coat, and then I think that's everything I need to teach you about painting. So yeah, let's run through this. And there it is. Well, the clear coat's still drying on this, but let's be very careful here. Oh my god. Oh my god. The silver's gonna look even better once the clear coat's cured on this, but wow. I'm genuinely in awe right now of how this looks. This is just beautiful. This looks way better in person than it does on my iPhone camera, which don't mind the weird cuts and everything, and how it cuts abruptly in some clips. I forgot my iPhone storage was full, so it's my bad, but yeah, this turned out really, really nicely. Let me show you some of the other parts here I had going. So there's the back piece. That also turned out really nice. I was actually really scared of how that guy turned out because I had some screw-ups with the taping job. But it actually also turned out really nice.
Again, just gonna let the clear dry, and like I was really scared with the bars here turning out because I cut them in a weird way, but yeah, they turned out really well. That's a scratch from the knife, don't worry about it, you're not gonna see that. But yeah, like this all turned out really well. That's, ignore that. But yeah, this is beautiful. I got some other miscellaneous parts here drying. The biceps still need the blue painted on. The collarbones are curing. The shoulders are curing. But yeah, that's pretty much what we got here. So yeah, that's pretty much just a painting everything. Still have a lot to go, but I think you guys learned how to paint here. It's gonna look really nice when it's all done. But yeah, let's go to future Kira here and wrap up the video.
Alright, and after doing all of that hard work, you should have a result that looks pretty much like this. Now, there's like not like a single spot of like roughness or like any type of bumps or nothing left in the paint job because I took my time with this. I went through step by step. I went through a procedure for each and every part, and well, this is the result you get. It turned out super nice, even with the rush job that I kind of did with it to get it done for New York Comic Con. As you can see, it's after New York now, like a couple weeks after, actually. I'm filming this the week of the release, actually. But yeah, I'm very happy with the result. It held up extremely well. I'm very happy with that. The only points where like the paint was coming off was like high rub areas, but that's just how it is. It's paint. It's going to rub off if you like rub hard glass against each other. Like any type of part, like car paint, it's not 100% like durable. Like if you can scratch it, you can rub it off, you can peel it. Like that stuff happens. Same with this. But yeah, there's some rubbing areas, like especially with the cod piece, I probably should touch up actually because it's pretty severe down there. That's fine. Like when you're doing a project like this and you're going out wearing the suit, or like if it's like a prop, like the Ember Celica here, you're wearing this around your wrist, you might like accidentally like hit a door, hit like a person. Yeah, you're gonna scratch up some paint on here. Like, let me see. Yeah, there's a few places I scratch. I'm just looking for one in particular. So yeah, it's not that bad on this guy. Like, you can see like some of the paint scratching like right. This is so well. Yeah, like right here, you can see it. Yeah, paint's gonna chip. It's gonna happen. That's what happens when you do cosplay props and stuff like that. So keep that in mind. And if you do like a super clean paint job, just know it might happen. It's not a big deal. That's why a lot of us battle damage things. I've not battle damaged anything because I don't feel like it. But yeah, that's pretty much everything I need to teach you today, guys. Like if you guys have any questions, you can message me on Instagram. I'm checking my DMs way too often. I have a problem. Yeah, and I hope this video helps you out on your projects. I have more videos coming out or that are out depending on the point in time you're watching this. So yeah, this is not the end of the Mark 40 series. I have a lot of videos to go on this guy. Completely out of order. I gave up on that. But I am still throwing this around from when I did the sponsor segment. Great. And the Ember Celica. Cool. But yeah, I'm just chipping away at these videos now that New York's done and I got my pictures. Jesus Christ, that scares me. I'll get the videos out for you guys eventually. As you can see, I'm not giving up. But I'm just a little burnout, guys. Give me a break. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the video and found it informative. Make sure to subscribe to my channel if you're not already to just see whenever I put up more videos on like tutorials, reviews, that kind of fun stuff. And yeah, make sure you follow my Instagram, like I said, maybe my TikTok if I upload there ever again. And just like everything else that's down below, make sure to check it out. And yeah, make sure to support all sponsors like DO3D and Polymaker. And until next time, where maybe I show you how to do repulsor, which I can't light up for you right now because I broke the connectors because I was a little too rough on it. But that's my fault, so whatever, that's gonna happen. But yeah, I'll see you guys in the next upload. Touch grass.